Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Steve here, and today you can see actually the car's flipped around, but we got the hood up because we are going to be working on the engine bay. Not only does it look terrible in there, but first things first, I need to do the timing belt, water pump, just get a lot of stuff freshened up. And then I really want to address the aesthetics in here. I really want to make this bay look as good as I can. So here's a little before of everything just to kind of show you how it stands right now. Alright, so here it is in all of its glory. You can see the valve cover's obviously dire need of some paint. The spark plug cover is red for some reason. Heat shield looking rough. We did the plug wires in a prior video, cap and rotor, and you know that stuff is all fresh. This wire here, I found the stock one, so I'm gonna put the stock one back on here. I need a battery tie down. I got something figured out for that. And then for timing belt stuff to do, yep, gotta strip all this off. And then I wanna clean up this VTEC solenoid thing. These always look terrible. You can see my AC lines are disconnected and floating. There's no AC pump down there. Power steering is disconnected, but the pump is there. So again, tidy all that up, get the strut bar back in. Maybe clean this up, basically just freshen up everything I can. That's kind of what we're starting with right now, and the timing belt work portion is the beginning of all that, because kind of a lot of that stuff needs to come off. So I'm just going to do it all together. But first things first, gotta drain the radiator. While we got the coolant draining, I figured I'd show you guys the underside and kind of what we have to contend with. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I was doing so good, and then it's gonna get too heavy. Come on, baby. Catch it, catch it, catch it. It blew the plug out. Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. Shoo, crisis averted a little bit, caught most of it. Just a tiny bit of spillage, so we can clean that up easy. But back to topic at hand. Here's kind of what I'm dealing with on the underside. I think the oil pan gasket is leaking. I don't know, it's got a good layer of oil on stuff. I don't think it's coming from the valve cover. So I'm thinking about pulling the pan as well. And then you can see the AC bracket is still here on the engine. So that's good. I can put a new pump on there. The oil pan just has me a bit worried because that won't pass shock in. So I'll either have to clean it and hope it doesn't leak, or I can just drop it now and clean it. But in order to drop it, maybe I have to take this exhaust off, which I'd rather not do. So on the top side, I'm just gonna go through and soak those in some penetrant because I do want to get that off and cleaned up. Half of my timing belt work is kind of already done for me because the AC is removed, so there's no belt. Power steering has no belt. So I just need to get some of that stuff out of the way, get the engine mount off, disconnect the alternator belt, and then I'll be able to get better access to stuff. I think we're just gonna tripod it and get after it. Nervous about this, but with the valve cover off, we get a look at the top of the head, or the valve train, I guess, and I really expected it to be pretty yucky and sludgy in there. I mean, that's what I was kind of fearing, but I guess the lighting's not cooperating, but it's just a nice golden brown in there. Normal wear. Looking at the cams, I didn't notice any major like grooving or wearing. That makes me feel good. It looks, yeah, there you go, that's a good shot there. It's pretty darn clean for a 200,000 kilometer engine. To see it looking this good is a big sigh of relief. I'm pretty well pleased with how good this head looks. And a look at the underside of the valve cover. Obviously, we'll get it all cleaned up before it goes back on there, but it's really not too bad. Nothing out of the norm. So you can see how this upper timing cover is lipped. So I had to get the valve cover off so I can get this off, and then I think that lips into the second one. So we'll just keep working our way down the front of the engine here. everyone's not so worried about me undoing that motor mount and taking it off. I had the jack under there supporting the engine, so it wasn't going anywhere. I got the motor mount off. And then you can see I have my ratchet on there. I just turned the engine over to get it to top dead center, which there's two marks here that line up with each other, and then there's an up and an up. It literally says up with like an arrow. Those should be pointing up, and these two lines should be aligned with each other. And then down below here, it's gonna be nearly impossible to see it. Oh, that right there. That plastic tab on the cover lines up with a mark on the crank pulley. So that's like the primary check of like you're at top dead center before you take everything apart. There's another mark behind the crank when you get the crank pulley off here. But right now I'm gonna get this isolator motor mount thing removed. I got a new one of those to go on because this one's completely blown out, and then I'll get the crank pulley off. I'm stalling out at the moment on the crank pulley bolt. I thought I could hit it with the impact and pop it off there, but I'm just not having luck. I've done a few pretty good hits with it, and you know, power wise I'm full. Battery wise I'm 3 of 4 bars, so it's like, seems like this baby should do it. All right, so I sprayed the crank pulley bolt with some WD-40 penetrant just to let it sit for a while. I'm just gonna let it soak and then come back to it. I'm gonna go charge this guy because it literally hasn't been charged in 5 months, even though the battery is showing, you know, pretty full charge. I thought I'd have enough, whatever. And then we'll just have to sort it out from there. At the moment, I think I've done everything I can do removing parts wise without getting the crank pulley off. So, stalled out for the moment. But hey, subscribe, hit the like button, help your boy out. Not sure I'm feeling too good about that power steering belt tensioner. It sounds pretty chewy inside there. A little bit rough, so I might just hook it up and see if it goes. I don't know what the availability or cost is on a new power steering belt tensioner or idler, whatever. Anyway. Well, I'm at a loss for that crank pulley bolt. Full battery, strong power on the thing, and it is not budging. I'm gonna let it soak overnight, I guess. I feel like maybe the bolt or the washer is like rusted to the crank pulley. Not that the threads of the bolt are rusted to the crank, I don't think. But you would think if it was on the pulley, then it would still rotate. No, because the keyway is holding the pulley to the crank. I don't know what the deal is. I did not expect to be held up at this point. So, I don't know, I'm gonna research, I guess, how much impact this can do on strong mode. But anyway, I'm just gonna go work on some other stuff, I suppose. So one of those things that I can work on while I'm waiting for the crank pulley are these engine mounts and isolators. So you can see here, this is from the first side I took off, totally gone. And this is just the big motor mount itself, like a little wear. Not too bad, but like the car has 200,000 kilometers on it. To remedy blown motor mounts, we have, you guessed it, new motor mounts. But these are actually used. The seller on Yahoo said 13,000 kilometers for the motor mount set, and you can see that looks remarkably shiny and new as opposed to that. It was missing the one isolator insulator that I already removed, so I bought one brand new I think insulator they call it. So yeah, so we'll swap out this one on this side, and that's probably again all I can do for now. But anyway, stymied again, not having luck today, but you gotta get this center stud out, and then this will have clearance to slide out, and it's just rusted to part that it's attached to, so I got that soaking now. Let's go see what else we can get stumped on. So I got the valve cover back on while I'm waiting, but I think I'm gonna try and get these exhaust heat shield bolts out. Hopefully we don't break any. Ha 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 ha. Go figure, the one job that I thought was gonna be absolute failure came out no problem. I thought these things were going to be seized and snap, all 4 of them, but yeah, it came right out. You can see this is the stock cast 4-2-1 headers. So an upgrade people do is switch this to a Type R one, which would be ideal and nice, but the Type R ones are still like $500 used, and half of them are bashed in down here at the front. Basically any aftermarket header you find is bashed in down there. So this design, of course, you know, it's probably a little bit restrictive, but I think it's gonna be okay for now. So after giving that like stud a minute, I came in here with the old fake impact like that and got it to break loose. Luckily, this socket will fit in that hole there. So otherwise, I don't know how you would do it, but let's get this guy off here. As you back out the stud, then it pushes this over into the frame rail and you run out of space to get it out. So it kind of makes me wonder if I just need to take off this arm that it's mounted on and then load this mount on there first and then put the whole thing in there as one piece. Good grief, just not succeeding today. While I'm down here at this angle, you can see how wet the oil pan is right there. You know, it's not coming down the block, it's kind of just seeping up. So I think I need to do the oil pan gasket. Ha! All right, mega bracket is out. Like, look at that, 3 huge bolts. There we go, 3 massive bolts. Mount that to the transmission just to hang this isolator, insulated. It's not even called an engine mount. Like it's only there, I think, to dampen vibration. But here you go, 13,000 kilometer Type R, 200,000 kilometer SIRG. They might be the same durometer, I'm not sure, but I'm really happy to get that put in there. Of course, while it's out, you can see it's all rusty and yucky looking. I'm gonna wire brush that and put some chassis black on it. All right, so a little before and after of the heat shield, I just hit it with like a 400 grit Scotch-Brite. I bought some different ones that were much softer. So that worked quite well because it's just a thin coating again on it. So I'm gonna paint that. I got rust converter going on that bracket, so it's doing its thing, and then I'll get it blacked out with chassis coat. Well, while I'm waiting for paint to dry, it only seems right to have a go at the VTC solenoid cover. There we go, looking like an episode of Dexter here. Vote down below. Steve, you're an idiot, or send it, this is gonna work. Oh no! So rust converter's on, and step 1, looking good. Back down below looking at the trans where the bracket bolts onto, but does anybody know of a way to get rid of, I don't know what to call it, like this aluminum rust is what I call it, but is there like a chemical spray or a home brew mix of like vinegar and water or something that cleans that all off? Otherwise, I've just, you know, lightly hit a couple places with this soft Scotch-Brite and it cleans it up, but it just seems like a lot of work and probably gonna come back-ish soon. Anyway, yeah, if you know of any homebrew remedies for that, let me know. All right, our fancy powder coat job, aka chassis black, is all done and dried on the bracket. And if you recall, this was heavy flaking yuckiness, and yeah, that's gonna work. It's gonna look good. Let's get it back on the car. Also, the heat shield's over here, but we'll get to that next time. All right, so here's the coolant. It is really a rich green and it looks really clean, but I have no idea the history on it, so it's going bye-bye. And I'll just put fresh in there, and then I'll probably flush the radiator as well with just some water to hopefully get whatever I can through there. Okay, so back under the car, you can see I used that Scotch-Brite and I just lightly went around everything, and you can see how it knocks it off and it looks really nice, but there's gotta be a faster way. Anyway, I'm gonna get this back in place, but I need to put that stud in first. So this is an interesting design I hadn't realized until now. You see how big that hole is, and you see that shaft there? It is like, see, a hot dog in a hallway there. I can't believe it's so oversized to where it's only pinched on the flange surface. It's not actually riding that. All right, so this isolator is now in with the new bracket, or the refreshed bracket, I guess. Just my luck with the way things are going today. This little bit of rubber here, it's got a little crack in it, so maybe they're not 13,000 kilometers. Maybe it's 130,000 kilometers, then dude made an honest typo. I don't know. Anyway, it was still, this full set was still cheaper than like one, or basically the price of one of these. All right, well, I think that's enough getting my ass kicked for one day. It's just one of those days, whatever, just fighting me every step of the way. Made some good progress, but still like halfway through with the engine refresh. or the engine bay refresh. So we'll continue on next time. We'll see the results of doing the VTEC solenoid, see how that turned out. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Much love. Be well.